Welcome to this deep dive. We're jumping into a really critical topic today. Navigating your finances while serving in the military and then, well, making that often complex shift into civilian life.
That's right.
We've got a detailed document in front of us that lays out financial strategies and resources specifically tailored for service members and veterans.
Yeah, and our goal here is really to cut through the noise and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from this source material. Because the military lifestyle, it just comes with these unique financial situations that, frankly, most civilians never encounter. Our mission is to find those essential insights and point you toward the resources you need.
Absolutely. And when you look at this document, it really highlights those distinct situations right away. Things like, packing up your entire life and moving every few years.
A permanent change of station or PCS. Yep, definitely a major financial event and one that requires specific planning, no doubt.
Or being called away from your family, your everyday routine for active duty service.
Deployment.
Right.
A time when your focus is, and really should be, on the mission, but the financial world back home, it still needs managing somehow.
And then, maybe the biggest financial transition of all, leaving that structure of the military and stepping fully into civilian life. I mean, finding a job, sorting out housing, just managing your money without the military's built-in support system.
Exactly. This source really zeroes in on how to handle these pivotal moments.
It does. And it starts logically, I think, with preparing for deployment. Trying to manage bills and unexpected issues back home from somewhere communication might be difficult or unreliable. That sounds like a nightmare.
It can be. The document lays out concrete steps to prevent that headache.
Okay, let's unpack the very first thing it recommends for deployment prep. What's step one?
It starts with something absolutely fundamental, really for peace of mind. Creating or reviewing your family care plan.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't just a formality. It's crucial for ensuring your family is secure and empowered while you're gone.
So making sure someone you trust is, ready to step in.
Exactly that. It involves assigning a guardian, often with special power of attorney, that gives them the legal authority they need. It's also about making sure they have access to necessary resources.
Yeah.
Well, getting them an ID and commissary card, registering them in DEERS, that's the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, so they can access benefits. And critically, setting up service members' group life insurance, SGLI, that's up to $400,000, or similar group life insurance, and making sure your beneficiaries are updated. So important.
Right. And what about the practical logistics? They need to know how to pay for things or get onto the base.
Precisely. Arranging for housing, food, transportation, handling emergencies, childcare, education, medical needs. All these details need to be ironed out and communicated clearly to the caregiver. The document also strongly recommends preparing or updating your will and designating a guardian within it. And here's a key insight. The JAG-I office, the Judge Advocate General's office on your installation, it's a free resource. They can help you draft or update these legal documents.
That is invaluable support right there. Free legal help for something so critical.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the care plan sorted. What's next on the financial front for deployment?
The next critical step is reviewing your personal finances. Before you leave, you absolutely need a clear picture of your monthly bills and, other obligations.
Make a list, basically.
Make a list, check due dates, and set up auto pay wherever possible. Just makes life easier.
And verify account balances, I imagine. Don't want things bouncing.
Absolutely. Ensure there's enough buffer in there. Create a contact list, too, for your banks, lenders, credit cards, just in case issues pop up while you're gone. And if you haven't already, set up direct deposit for your pay. Seems basic, but essential.
Now, the document highlights a really unique financial opportunity related to deployment, doesn't it? Something pretty special.
Yes. This is where it gets potentially very interesting for some folks. It mentions the Savings Deposit Program, or SDP.
Okay.
For those serving in designated combat zones, you can deposit up to $10,000 and earn an incredible 10% annual interest.
Wait, 10%? Risk-free? That's almost unheard of in typical savings or investment options today.
It truly is an exceptional benefit, a really standout perk. Maximizing this program, if you're eligible, is a significant financial insight from this document.
Wow. Okay, what else financially before deploying?
Well, you also need to manage your payroll remotely. That means setting up a MyPay account with DFAS, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service.
Yeah.
You can also set up extended active duty, or EAD, pay allotments. That lets you send money directly to family members or businesses back home automatically.
And protecting against fraud while you're away? That's got to be a concern.
Yes, that's definitely part of this step too. Placing an active duty fraud alert on your credit reports, with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion is a crucial safeguard. Highly recommended.
Okay. And what about taxes when you're deployed? That sounds complicated.
Yeah, it can be. The document recommends talking to a tax professional. Good news is the installation's legal office often offers tax assistance.
Oh, nice.
They can advise on credits or deductions you might qualify for while deployed. And a key point mentioned is the automatic filing extensions available if you're deployed to certain combat zones.
Automatic extensions.
Hmm.
So less stress about tax day when you're focused elsewhere.
Exactly. It means the immediate stress of filing is often lifted, giving you crucial extra time after you return. That's a huge relief for many.
I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the immediate finances, what's next? Step 4, I think.
Step 4 is reviewing and securing your key documents. Power of attorney, your will, and also a letter of instructions for your caregiver.
Right.
Make sure they are updated, stored securely, and crucially, that the designated person knows exactly where to find them. You don't want someone scrambling to locate vital papers in an emergency.
Makes sense. And insurance updates, that was mentioned earlier.
Right. Step 5 is assessing your insurance. We mentioned SGLI earlier. Ensure beneficiaries are current. That's paramount. Auto insurance needs attention, especially if you're storing a vehicle or maybe someone else will be driving it.
Okay.
Homeowners or renters insurance is vital, particularly for insuring valuable items you leave behind. And the document also suggests considering additional disability insurance just in case you're concerned about injuries while deployed.
Now, the document also details specific legal protections available during deployment, correct? This is step 6 in the deployment section. Big one, I think.
This is critical, yeah. It points to the Service Members Civil Relief Act, or SCRA. This federal law provides a whole range of protections designed to ease financial burdens while you're on active duty.
What kind of protections does SCRA actually offer?
Well, the source lists several key ones. It allows you to break rental agreements without penalty if you get PCS orders or deployment orders over a certain length.
That's huge.
It is. It protects against eviction, foreclosure, or even property sales under certain circumstances. A major one is capping interest rates on pre-service debt you had before you went on active duty at 6% APR.
6%, wow.
Yeah. It can also stay, or pause, civil judicial proceedings. It can prevent default judgments against you while you're serving. It lets you defer income tax payments in some cases, and even terminate telecommunications contracts without penalty if you have to relocate for deployment.
That's a lot of protection. Where can people find out more?
The document mentions Military OneSource is a good resource for a detailed guide on SCRA. Understanding and using these protections is a significant financial advantage for service members. It's not automatic. You usually have to ask for it.
That's really powerful. Just knowing those rights exist can prevent a lot of financial hardship while you're focused on serving. Okay, deployment planning covered. The other major recurring event is the PCS move.
Ah, the joys of PCS.
Right. Moving is just inherently costly and stressful, even without the military aspect.
It is, and planning is absolutely essential to manage the financial impact. The document provides steps for PCS prep as well, thankfully.
So where do you even start with a move like that? Seems overwhelming.
It begins with logistics. The first step is scheduling a meeting with your base transportation office. Now, the name varies by branch. It might be joint personal property shipping, traffic management, something like that.
Okay.
They are the ones who help coordinate the actual physical move of your household goods.
Gotcha. And getting money to help cover all those costs. Moving isn't cheap.
Definitely not. The next step is contacting the finance office at your current location. They are your source for information on all the benefits designed to help with moving costs.
Like what sort of benefits?
Well, things like dislocation allowance or DLA, that helps offset the costs of actually relocating, setting up a new place. There's per diem allowance to cover expenses during travel, monetary allowance in lieu of transportation if you decide to drive yourself instead of having the government arrange travel.
What about temporary housing costs when you arrive or before you leave?
Yep, covered too. There's temporary lodging expense, TLE, for moves within the continental U.S., CONUS, and temporary lodging allowance, TLA, for moves overseas, OCONUS.
Okay.
The document also mentions asking about do-it-yourself moves, sometimes called personally procured moves, or PPMs. They can sometimes come with additional financial incentives. And importantly, the possibility of getting advanced basic pay to help with those upfront moving costs.
Managing your banking situation during a move. maybe across the country or even overseas. That sounds complicated.
It certainly can be, and the document addresses this directly. A crucial step is evaluating your banking situation. You need to figure out, does your current bank have branches or convenient ATM access near your new duty station?
Right.
Make sure all your contact information is updated with them, too. That's vital.
And if they don't have branches nearby?
Well, then you'll need to explore options at your new location. Could be local banks, credit unions, or maybe national banks with a widespread presence. But here's a critical piece of advice highlighted in the source, something that can save a lot of headaches.
What's that?
Do not close your old bank account until you are absolutely positively sure that all your auto pay arrangements, your direct debits, your direct deposits have successfully transferred and are working with your new account.
Oh, yeah. I can see how that could go wrong fast.
Yeah.
Imagine a mortgage payment bouncing because you closed the old account a day too soon.
Exactly. Or a paycheck going to the wrong place. It's a simple but vital safeguard. Just wait until everything is confirmed, settled in the new account.
Good tip. What about protecting your stuff during the move itself?
Also key. The Transportation Management Office, the same folks who arrange the move, can advise on the insurance options provided by the moving companies the government uses.
Okay.
The document recommends understanding what's covered, what the deductibles are, and talking to the transportation office and maybe even the legal office before the move about the claims process, just in case something does get damaged. Better to know ahead of time.
And ensuring medical coverage is seamless.
Yeah.
Don't want gaps there.
That's another crucial step the document points out. Updating your medical coverage. This involves updating DEERs, especially if your family situation has changed, marriage, new baby, etc., and contacting the TRICARE office at your new location.
So you register there?
Yes, you need to register there. Your coverage typically becomes active upon your official arrival date.
With so many moving parts, checklists must be essential for a PCS.
They really, really are. The document points out that preparing checklists is a vital step for organizing a successful, less stressful move. And it mentions resources like military.com often offer specific checklists tailored for military moves. Very helpful.
So after navigating deployments and these frequent moves, a major ongoing financial decision for service members and veterans is housing. That's a big one.
Absolutely. Where you live is crucial, financially and personally, and it brings its own set of considerations and potential stress, but also rewards. The source discusses the three main general options.
Right. Buying, renting, or living on base.
Correct. Buying a home, well, the big advantage is building equity over time. And service members have access to VA loans, which often have really favorable terms like potentially no down payment. Plus, you generally get tax deductions for mortgage interest and property taxes. But the downsides are significant too. You're responsible for all maintenance and repairs. Selling quickly if you get unexpected orders can be difficult, sometimes costly. And closing costs, insurance, property taxes, those upfront and ongoing costs can be high.
Renting seems to offer more flexibility, which kind of fits the unpredictable military life sometimes.
It often does, yeah. The pros of renting include lower upfront costs generally, minimal maintenance worries, that's the landlord's problem usually, potentially lower monthly costs compared to owning, and it's much, much easier to move quickly if orders change.
So the downsides?
Well, building equity, that's the big one. You have basically no control over rent increases year to year, no tax benefits like homeowners get, and you might face restrictions on things like pets or even children in some rentals.
Is there anything specific renters should look for in a lease?
Yes, a key tip here from the source. Always, always ask for a military clause in your lease. This clause typically allows you to break the lease without penalty if you receive official PCS orders. Very important protection.
Good point. Okay, what about living on base?
Living on base has some definite attractive perks. Your basic living costs, including utilities, are usually covered by your housing allowance. There's often a short commute, especially for spouses who might work on base. Easy access to installation facilities like the commissary, the PX, MWR services.
Security.
Enhanced security from military police patrols, that's often cited. And sometimes a built-in community support network with neighbors who understand the lifestyle.
What are the trade-offs, though?
The document lists a few potential cons. Conditions on base housing might not always meet your expectation, or it might feel a bit cramped compared to off-base options. You typically have no control over which school zone your children attend if you live on base.
And the money aspect.
Crucially, you don't receive the basic allowance for housing, or BAH, directly into your bank account. The allowance just covers the on-base housing cost. This means you don't have the chance to, say, find cheaper housing off base and pocket the difference. And there are often pretty strict rules about house and lawn maintenance you have to follow.
Right. we've touched on BAH. The document does circle back to the various housing allowances. BAH, OI for overseas, FSA for family separation, DLA for dislocation, TLA for temporary lodging, explaining how they relate to these choices. They basically provide financial support regardless of which option you choose, or if your family can't join you.
Exactly. Those allowances are designed to help offset those specific housing or separation costs associated with service. And if you are considering buying, service members and veterans have access to specialized mortgage options that can make homeownership more attainable than it might be otherwise.
You mentioned VA loans. What about FHA loans? Are those relevant too?
Yes, the document discusses both. VA loans, backed by the Department of Veterans Affairs, are often considered the gold standard for eligible folks. A major advantage, as we said, is often no down payment required. The qualification guidelines can also be a bit more flexible than conventional loans, especially regarding credit score sometimes. The key thing you need is a certificate of eligibility, or COE, which you get from va.gov. But the document stresses, even with these favorable terms, it's still really vital to shop around with different lenders to get the best rates and fees.
Good advice.
Yeah.
And FHA loans, how are they different?
FHA loans are government-insured loans, not guaranteed like VA loans. They can be helpful if you maybe don't qualify for a VA loan or if you need a lower down payment option than conventional loans might offer. However, a significant difference from VA loans is that FHA loans require mortgage insurance.
Mortgage insurance.
Yeah, there's usually an upfront mortgage insurance premium, UFMIP, paid at closing, and a monthly mortgage insurance premium, MIP, that gets added to your payment. This adds to your overall housing cost over time, unlike VA loans, which typically don't have monthly mortgage insurance.
I see the source provides a table for FHA loans based on credit score. What does that show?
Right. It generally shows that with a credit score of 580 or above, you typically need about a 3.5% down payment for an FHA loan. If your score is lower, say between 500 and 579, it usually requires a 10% down payment.
Oh, okay.
So this just highlights again why maintaining good credit, which we'll discuss a bit later, is so important. Even when using these government-backed loan programs, it directly impacts your costs.
Okay, let's shift focus now to veterans transitioning to civilian life. This
Okay.
is, a monumental change, not just personally, but financially too.
It truly is. It's definitely challenging, but it's also full of opportunities. The document emphasizes some key decisions veterans face right away. Where are you going to live? What career path will you take? Will you use your earned benefits for higher education? Big questions.
And a critical insight from this source seems to be really understanding and using your VA benefits.
Absolutely vital. Couldn't stress this enough. The document points out the sheer breadth of benefits the VA offers. We're talking healthcare, housing assistance, higher education support like the GI Bill, career support services, disability compensation if applicable, pension options, life insurance programs, and even burial services.
That's a really comprehensive list. Covers a lot of life areas.
It is, and here's a fascinating and frankly somewhat concerning insight from the source material. Apparently, 59% of veterans are unaware of or don't fully understand the benefits available to them.
Wow, more than half.
More than half are potentially missing out on resources they earned through their service. That statistic alone just underscores why learning about them is so crucial. Resources like va.gov, visiting local VA facilities, or calling the main VA helpline, the number listed is 800-698-2411. These are your starting points.
Definitely worth investigating. Beyond the VA home loan, are there other housing resources specifically for veterans mentioned?
Yes, the document highlights the Specially Adapted Housing, or SAH, program. This offers grants to veterans with certain serious service-connected disabilities to help them buy, build, or modify a home to meet their needs.
That sounds incredibly helpful.
It can be life-changing. The source also points out resources for homeless veterans, which is sadly a reality for some. There's the National Call Center for Homeless Veterans. That number is 877-4ADVET, 424-3838, and various housing solutions or voucher programs the VA supports.
Finding gainful civilian employment is often a primary focus after separating from the military.
It's a major step, for sure. The VA has resources on va.gov under their Careers and Employment section. Other useful websites mentioned in the source include vltstats.dev, careeronestop.org, military.com's veteran job boards, and hireahero.org. Lots of places to look.
Now, what's fascinating here is the specific legal protection related to employment that the source highlights for veterans. That seems important.
Yes, USERRA. That stands for the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. This is a really powerful piece of federal legislation.
What's it guarantee?
Well, it guarantees reemployment rights with your previous civilian employer after you complete your service, under most circumstances. It protects you from discrimination by civilian employers based on your past or present military service or obligation. It also protects you against termination or retaliation simply because you served or are serving in the reserves.
So your job is basically protected while you serve.
Essentially, yes, with some conditions. It also ensures you can continue health insurance coverage through your previous employer's plan for up to 2 years while you're on duty, though you usually have to pay the premium. And it protects against service-related breaks negatively affecting your seniority, promotion potential, or participation in retirement plans.
What if an employer violates those rights?
The document notes that if your USERRA rights are violated, you have the right to lodge a complaint with the Department of Labor or even file a lawsuit. It's a crucial safeguard for navigating the civilian job market after serving. Real teeth behind it.
It's a huge piece of security for transitioning veterans. Definitely something to be aware of. What about using those earned education benefits, the GI Bill?
Right. The post-9/11 GI Bill is the primary benefit discussed for higher education. It offers substantial support. It can cover tuition and fees up to a certain amount, provide a monthly housing allowance based on the school's location, and give you funds for books and supplies. There's even a rural benefit payment sometimes.
What are the key things someone needs to know about eligibility for that?
Generally, eligibility is based on your service dates after September 10th, 2001, the type of discharge you received, your total length of qualifying active duty service, and sometimes if you have a service-connected disability.
Okay.
The document also mentions a really important feature. Under certain circumstances, you might be able to transfer these valuable benefits to your spouse or your children. That's a huge potential legacy. VA.gov is the place to get your specific eligibility confirmed.
And adapting to college life after being in the military, that must be another big adjustment zone.
It absolutely can be. The source includes a few tips here. Things like recognizing that the college mindset and environment are often very different from the military structure, actively working to avoid isolation, which can happen, and purposefully connecting with other students, particularly seeking out fellow veterans on campus who really understand that unique transition you're going through.
Good advice. Okay, one final area during transition that requires careful financial planning is insurance. You lose those military coverages.
Yes, replacing your military coverage is critical. For health insurance, if you retire after 20 years of service, you're typically still eligible for TRICARE, which is a great benefit.
But if not?
If you separate before retirement, you can enroll in the Continued Healthcare Benefit Program, or CHCBP. It offers temporary coverage, kind of like COBRA, for up to 18 months, sometimes longer. But, and this is crucial, you must enroll within 60 days of leaving service.
Only 60 days. That's a tight window.
It is. If you miss that window, you'll need to explore other options, like getting insurance through a new civilian employer or buying a plan on the health insurance marketplace created by the Affordable Care Act.
And life insurance. SGLI doesn't last forever, right?
Correct. SGLI coverage ends 120 days after you leave the military. You do have the option to convert it to Veterans Group Life Insurance, VGLI. A big plus for VGLI is that you can get it without needing a medical exam, which is really helpful if you've developed health issues during your service.
But there's a catch.
Well, the document notes that VGLI premiums tend to increase pretty significantly as you age, potentially becoming more expensive than comparable term life insurance policies you might find in the civilian market, especially if you're healthy. So it's worth comparing options.
Okay, so that's a lot of information specific to military life and that critical transition period.
Yeah.
But the document also covers general money management advice. Stuff that applies to everyone, really, whether you're currently serving or a veteran, essential for financial stability.
Absolutely. These foundational skills are just vital for everyone. First up, build a budget. Sounds simple, and that's critical. Track your spending, make sure your income actually covers your expenses, and review it regularly. Ideally, do this with your spouse or family if applicable. Get everyone on the same page.
Controlling credit card spending is next on their list. Easy trap to fall into.
Oh, yeah. High-interest debt is a major obstacle to financial health. Keeping credit card balances low, ideally paying them off each month, and just keeping spending under control is paramount.
And maintaining good credit. We touched on this with loans, but it's broader, right?
It is. Your credit score impacts so much. Your ability to qualify for loans, yes, like VA home loans, but also the interest rate you'll pay on any debt, car loans, credit cards. Better credit means lower costs. The source recommends checking your credit report annually. You can get it free from annualcreditreport.com. Check for errors, monitor your score.
And paying bills on time. Seems obvious, but
Simple but critical for that credit score. Late payments significantly damage your credit history. Just set up reminders, use autopay carefully, whatever it takes.
finally, saving for emergencies. The unexpected always happens.
Always. Building an emergency fund is your safety net. The initial goal mentioned is often $1,000 to $5,000. That provides a cushion for those unexpected expenses, a car repair, a medical bill, a sudden trip without forcing you into high-interest debt. And service members often have unique opportunities, like maybe extra pay during deployments or enlistment bonuses, that can be strategically used to build this fund relatively quickly if you plan for it.
Saving for retirement is another universal goal, and the military offers some key options there.
Yes, absolutely crucial. The Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP, is the major one for federal employees, including military members. It's a tax-deferred retirement savings plan, very similar to a civilian 401k.
How does it work?
You contribute pre-tax dollars directly from your pay, those contributions grow tax-deferred, and you pay taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. There's also a Roth TSP option.
Roth TSP.
Yeah, with the Roth TSP, your contributions are made after taxes have been taken out of your pay. The benefit is that your qualified withdrawals in retirement, including all the earnings, are completely tax-free. It's a great option, especially if you think you might be in a higher tax bracket later in life.
And civilian retirement options still apply after service or even during.
They do. If you work for a company after leaving the military, you can often participate in their employer-based retirement plans, like a 401k or 403b. And individual retirement accounts, like Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs, are available to almost everyone with earned income. Service members and veterans can absolutely utilize these alongside, or instead of the TSP, depending on their situation. Diversifying retirement savings is usually a good idea.
Okay, one last area the document touches on is filing taxes. Always fun.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the document points out that the VA offers resources here too. VA.gov apparently has a list of free tax filing options available specifically to veterans and service members, worth checking out to potentially save some money on tax prep.
And it raises the question of specific tax breaks for veterans. Are there any?
Yes, the source mentions several possibilities, though some depend on your specific situation or state. There's something called the Injured Veteran Tax Break, which can provide an exemption from certain federal and state income tax for specific disability-related compensation. There are often property tax exemptions for disabled veterans, although this varies significantly by state. You'd really need to check with your state and local tax authorities for the details where you live.
And retirement pay.
Some states offer partial or full exemptions for military retirement pay from state income tax. Again, highly state-specific. Military.com is listed as a good resource for looking up state-specific tax benefits for military members and veterans.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground here. From the
So what does this all mean? I think it means taking the time to understand and actively leverage these tailored programs, these benefits, these legal protections like SCRA. It isn't just about managing challenges. It's really a roadmap to achieving and maintaining financial stability and success.
Right.
And ignoring them, like that statistic about nearly 60% of veterans not fully understanding their benefits shows, well, it means potentially leaving significant hard-earned resources just sitting on the table unused.
That leads to a final thought then. Given this unique financial landscape, service members and veterans navigate, the constant moves, the deployment, the distinct transition challenges. How can actively seeking out and leveraging these specific, often underutilized resources, how can that not just mitigate the difficulties, but actually help you build a significantly stronger, more secure financial future than perhaps even someone without these specialized tools might achieve? It's a powerful potential if you tap into it.